All right, how's it going, guys? I've got Tim here, and this is coming together last minute. I haven't even had a chance to ask Tim about what exactly happened on his channel. I don't even know if he really wants to discuss it. Tim, if you don't want to, you could say pass, but why don't you lead off? Tell people what I'm even talking about.
Yeah. So I don't know if people see me or not, because I don't see it on this one, but I don't know what's, people see it on YouTube or not. So those who have been following me, obviously I am one of the hosts over at Investing Bros. And about 24 hours ago, actually now to this time, it was probably a little later, 6 o'clock, I went to go check. I like to keep the comments clean, right? And get the scams out and everything. And it would not allow me to get into our YouTube studio. And I go and check the email, and we have an email saying that our YouTube channel had been removed due to harmful content. Now, we got no details as to what we did or said that was so harmful, but our account was shut down. So kind of a scary situation, very worrisome. We sound the alarm over on X, and my post from last night actually has 100,000 views on it. A lot of people retweeting, quoting Team YouTube over on X. They actually got back with us very quickly on X, and then literally about a half hour before our live show, we were planning on just going live on X, but then YouTube, all of a sudden, we get a notification that our videos have been checked and we are not in violation of harmful content policy. And they brought us back up a little bit less than 24 hours. So it's been a whirlwind of the last 24 hours of emotions, of planning, of what does the future hold.
Wow.
But ultimately, the crypto community has come through once again and saved the Bros channel. So if you guys are a part of that, thank you so much for helping us get the channel back. And honestly, in such quick and efficient time, it's been great.
And still no idea exactly why it went down. And I'm not even going to ask you to speculate, because let's not even duplicate what might have been said.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm super glad it worked out. And you and I were talking, while you were going through it. And, I think that both Tim and I we have strong faith. Okay. Put the business aside. Our courage doesn't come, from YouTube. Right. And so it comes from the Lord. And I know that Tim didn't waver. He wasn't scared. And he told me, I'll be fine if they take me off YouTube. We're just going to move forward, and it will work. And so, and I agreed with him. And I said, dude, no matter what happens, you can't be hurt, man. You're good.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you this. It's not an issue of saying I thought that everything was going to work out perfectly, because sometimes in life, things don't work out perfectly. It's not up to us to make sure our life is perfect. It's up to us to respond to situations, and whatever the Lord allows us to go through, how do we respond to it? And this is something I've learned with a lot of different things in my life. My life is far from perfect, both things that I've done and things that have happened to me. But if I can make one statement that defines my life, and I think a lot of you are going to relate to, no matter what I have done or what I've gone through, the Lord has always been faithful to me. And it's been such an encouragement to me and the people around me. And this is just one more example. And some people might be like, Tim, how are you thanking the Lord and saying the Lord's faithful for getting your channel back? Well, it's because I don't believe anything happens here on earth without his approval and his guiding. So I thank YouTube. I thank the community, but I also thank God for once again being faithful and delivering me from evil. And my channel's back. And so that's really good.
Well, we're thankful too. All right, guys, we've got a good show for you planned today. We're going to be going into both stocks and crypto. We do focus more on crypto when Tim's on, but we're going to do technical analysis for stocks and crypto. I want to cover the Bitcoin miners in particular today, because even though Bitcoin went up quite a bit and they did follow, they really didn't explode. They didn't give us much. Bitcoin had a beautiful move. The miners had a humdrum move. And so I want to kind of talk about that a little bit. We're going to cover some crypto, and we have to cover what's moving the markets today. Really, what moved the markets today? Well, without a doubt in my mind, it was the fact that people were buying the chip makers. And when the chip makers, Nvidia and the rest of them started to move up, people said, well, maybe somebody knows something. Maybe Nvidia's earnings tomorrow are better than we know. And what caused the markets to rally in 2023 and 2024 is going to keep the markets rallying in 2024 and 2025. The AI story, is it bigger than inflation? I wouldn't go as far as to say that, but right now, the AI story is what's been keeping these markets up for the last year and a half. Specifically, the chip makers popped, the market loved it, and we also had an unexpectedly better consumer confidence report. Now, that was interesting to me because, again, I joke, I said, maybe you guys can afford inflation. I did find out from my wife what a gallon of milk costs. Right now, we're living in Hawaii. This is just a year here. Milk costs $8 a gallon here. So I've been properly informed with a gallon of milk costs. And we did go and I did look at the pump when I was pumping the gas, and it was $5 a gallon. And so, are you guys getting used to these prices? Because the consumer confidence report came out better than expected. And I don't know if this is just the impact of a possible election year and the idea that with change, and we're not going to get into politics today, but with change of any kind, doesn't matter who the person is, it brings forward the idea of new opportunities and new possibilities and really maybe new promises. And what is behind new promises? Printing of the US dollar. Every time, you guys elect a president, he or she feels like they've got a mandate, and that mandate is to spend your money, and that stimulates stocks. And so, expectations are up. Any commentary on that, Tim?
I mean, I don't know if I'm going to add anything to what you said. I would say pretty much the same stuff. So for the sake of time, because we always say, "Oh, this is going to be shorter," and then we always run.
All right, then we're going to keep running
let's get
forward
into the content for everybody.
All right, I'm going to get right into a couple other details. Home price index growth slowed. And so what exactly happened there? Well, the price of homes is steadily going up year over year. Now, this particular month, they only went up 6.47% year over year compared to 6.88%. And so the increase in the cost of homes slowed. They're still more expensive. They were still more expensive this month. Okay, so unless your income went up 6.88%, they're still more expensive, but the price of acceleration slowed, which should ultimately feed back into the story of inflation coming down and us not dealing with stagflation. And so the markets between chips being bought, between positive consumer confidence and slowing house price increases, the market rallied. I'm going to just do a quick jump into the charts. I'm going to talk about the SPY, and we're going to move along quickly because I want to get as many charts covered as I can today. Just want to thank you guys all for being here. Raydell, Souza, Alexander, Oscar. Someone said, right here, drop a heart if you made money this week, today, or a bag if you lost money. Nvidia's pulling my account up, and when Nvidia goes down, it pulls my account down. I'm going to quickly look at the SPY and Nvidia before we get into Bitcoin and crypto. So let me jump into that chart. Okay, guys, I'm just going to recap. I want to just point some things out to you. So when we went on this big run up, we stayed on top of the 5 EMA, right? And I just want to point out these observations. We've got this monumental red candle here. We've got this arch rollover event. And we stayed on top of the 5 EMA until we couldn't anymore. And we pulled back and we bounced on the 21 EMA. Okay, so I just want to point that out. We had 3 overall pumps on the S&P 500. And the initial pump, which was a near straight up push, we did have to come back and bounce off the 21 EMA to continue the push higher. Well, let's just kind of examine what we got here. We know this was a huge 10% run. You guys see that we've already got that similar early red profit-taking candle. Okay, now we've had a little bit lower momentum. You guys can see that we've got this rollover thing going. We're not going straight up anymore. Back here, we got 2 candles, okay? right before the drop. So we've got our first candle. And so is the market setting up tomorrow to give us another small green low volume day and then a bounce off the 21 EMA? I don't know. I mean, I think it's all going to hinge on Nvidia. If Nvidia's earnings are good, then we push above 561. Well, we'll obviously hit all-time highs. If Nvidia's earnings don't deliver, is the up move for the market done? No. No, we're just going to come back and bounce off the 21 EMA. And if we don't, well, then we'll get worried. And Josh will come out here and warn you guys and tell you the sky is officially might be falling. All right, let's just talk a little bit about Nvidia, guys. So I did something today. I raised my stop loss, right? And I raised it, and it could cause me to get kicked out, but I'm not terribly worried about that. If I get kicked out before earnings, I'm going to still play it. I'm just going to switch to a leveraged, Nvidia ETF. That's all I'm going to do. I'll buy some options with the profits I've already made. Anywhere in here, would have been a beautiful spot to take profit. Let me be clear. I'm not bearish. I'm not taking profit. What have I done? I've protected my profits by raising my stop. Where did I raise it? To $124, and I think it was 40 cents. Why did I do that? Well, we've bounced off of it a couple times, right? And it's kind of like the SWAT team. I've shared this many, many, many times, this analogy. What happens if they SWAT you, Tim, and they come to your house? It's never happened to me. I know that sometimes people get swatted. I move around a lot, so they won't be able to find me. But they come to your house, and they got the rammer, and they hit it one time. Maybe the door doesn't pop open. They hit it 2 times. Maybe it doesn't pop open. Maybe you got a couple of deadbolts on there. But the 3rd time they hit it, it comes off the hinges, right? And that's what I'm concerned about with Nvidia. We've already got 2 hits on my 124. I told you guys it would hit 131, come back to 124. It's been bouncing between the two. But now it's time to raise my stop and to begin to think about, taking a plan into earnings. If I get kicked out, I'll take all the profit, because you got to remember, I announced the Friday before we hit $90 on Nvidia. I said buying at 96, limit order placed at 94, going in heavy. So I've got profits there. I've got plenty of profits there to put over into speculation, calls, hedges. Last time I played earnings, I can't remember which, I think it might have been, it was Netflix. I did calls and puts, a spread. And the following day, I believe that one went to 0. The other one went up 150%. And the 50% was a really good profit. And so that's one way of playing Nvidia. You can just play the spread and cancel out the one that dies and let the other one run, because if it runs, it's probably going to keep running. What are you guys going to do with your Nvidia tomorrow? Let me know if you are holding, if you were a big chicken and got scared and sold. Let me know what you're doing with your Nvidia tomorrow. Kandakar, thank you. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, man. Simon, it's good to see you here. What are your thoughts on Nvidia and the overall market, Tim?
Yeah, well, I mean, while we're watching this live, Bitcoin just dropped below 60K. And earlier today, I had put some marks a little higher than that for support. But there are some things happening right now that I want to show people here a little bit on Bitcoin that I think that closer towards 58 could get pretty interesting. But as far as Nvidia, yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting to see how those reports come out. I know the limited research I've done on that one, we actually created some content earlier this week. We did a live show on it. The expectations at this point are still that we should see some positivity. And I think that Nvidia, there's a good chance. I mean, it's a hard coin to bet against. And you did some great TA there. And I think there's some definite things that people should be looking at Nvidia holdings with some caution. But also, I want to make sure people understand that the concept of it going to new all-time highs is not out of the equation whatsoever, and could happen if those numbers end up being favorable the way they are. What I'm interested in, and I was doing some back analysis on this earlier on our show, Investing Bros, is what will the crypto stocks do? The ones like Render and Near and ASI, where historically, everyone almost acts like Nvidia and these AI cryptos are tied. but they're not. If you looked at the last 6 earning reports that have all been positive for Nvidia, only one of them were positive for the AI crypto space. But this time might be different. Crypto is so far down, including the AI stocks, or not stocks, crypto coins. There's not necessarily a whole lot more room to the downside left. It's more of the upside movement that I think could be in order if the Nvidia numbers are good. Now, if those Nvidia numbers are bad, all right, let's reevaluate and say, all right, Nvidia is probably going to come down. AI crypto could come down. I think AI crypto is going to follow a little bit more what Bitcoin does than Nvidia does. But if there's positive AI details and Bitcoin seems to find a bottom here somewhere a little bit south of 60K, then you could see the likes of Render, Near, ASI, and other AI crypto tokens get themselves a nice needed pump, because they are down pretty dramatically from where they used to be a couple of months ago.
Well, we're going to get into Bitcoin, and I'm going to let you do the TA on it. But before I do, I want to share an interesting news story. Let me throw that up on the screen. So Bitcoin, the Bitcoin rally has helped to create more than 84,000 new crypto millionaires in 2024 alone. And this really speaks to the adoption of Bitcoin as an investment asset. I mean, there are 84,000 new crypto millionaires. And it was interesting to kind of outline who some of the biggest Bitcoin holders and billionaires were. Obviously, we've got the CEO of Binance, Zhangping Zhao. Now, I also want to throw out something interesting, and I love your opinion on it if you have one. So he got basically in trouble with the U.S. government because they said that he was allowing his exchange to be used as a money laundering source. And he got slapped with a $50 million penalty from the United States government, right? And this guy has not served a day in time. Now, why does that, you know, some of you are like, oh, $50 million, they smacked that wrist hard. His net worth in Bitcoin rose by 10 billion in 2024. So $50 million comparative to that 10 billion is nothing, which is just a reminder that there are unequal laws in the world, in the United States. Now, why did he get brought to the table? Why did he get put on blast? Why did they do that? I don't know. It wasn't about the money. $50 million to the United States government is chump change. They probably wanted to rein him in and gain some semblance of cooperation from him. And when he gave that cooperation, then they said, okay, well, we need to show the public that, you paid something. And so, give us a tip for 50 million and we'll just scoot this thing along. Now, who do you think, Tim, this is just trivia, and matter of fact, I'll ask all of you guys, who's the second biggest Bitcoin holder, individual in the world?
You tell me persons?
Person.
Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor would be
behind
Satoshi.
What I thought too.
It's not.
No.
It's not Michael Saylor.
No. I thought that too.
Before you say it, let me think who else would
think
be
about
on that
it.
list.
Who knows the answer to this? Unfortunately, Keenan's not here to give you guys money for your answers.
It's not
and I've
Justin
never
Sun,
actually
is it?
used Cash App. But who knows the answer to who is the richest? So Michael Saylor only has, I think he has $1 or $2 billion of personal Bitcoin. All of his Bitcoins in MicroStrategies. The second largest Bitcoin billionaire in the world actually owns the second largest exchange, or founded it.
Is it Justin Sun?
No, Coinbase.
It's Brian Armstrong?
Brian Armstrong is over there becoming a massive billionaire. Ranking second is Brian Armstrong, the co-founder of Coinbase, worth an estimated $11 billion according to Forbes. So, matter of fact, he follows the chief financial officer of Tether, and then after that, Michael Saylor. So it's interesting, that these guys who are starting these exchanges are becoming they're the future millionaires and billionaires. I mean, anyone investing, there's people becoming millionaires, but these guys who are selling the picks, as they say, and the shovels are the ones really making the big bucks. They're just letting us trade it back and forth I'm going to get into Tim's chart. Before I do, I want to make a quick commentary on a major change in my crypto investing. It's not a suggestion for what you should do. All I'm ever doing on this page is simply sharing with you what I'm doing. I haven't been in crypto very long. The last cycle was my first crypto cycle. Other people have been in it much longer than me. But I dove in deep. I spent a lot of time on the charts, and I've done a really good job accurately predicting the lows and the highs. And I have a very strong opinion of where Bitcoin will go now in 2025, 2026, and 2027. In my mind, I've got it all worked out. Having said that, I've done well in crypto, but I've noticed a major change, and I thought I would share it with you guys. And that's that I am holding way less coins, and I'm not doing any moon bagging, as they say. And and I'm not telling you it's what you should do. I took a big step back, and I realized that I couldn't chart as many projects as I had, especially as I was dabbling in meme coins. I had a meme coin portfolio going with like 16 meme coins, and I was like, this is just madness. And
That's
so I went to my philosophy of going best in class, right? So I don't want to trade all the EV makers. I just want to own Tesla. I don't want to figure out whether NIO is going to go bankrupt or not. I just want to own one great EV tech company. And the same with a lot of investments. There's always a best in class. And so I have significantly narrowed down my holdings, and some I may dabble in, some I may swing trade, but I'm not really going to be doing a lot of holding of cryptos. And so I'm just sharing that with you because I can't chart them. I can't manage them. So I've consolidated my portfolio, which I believe will allow me to move quicker. And I gave this analogy twice in the last couple months where I've said, you don't have a portfolio of penny stocks, okay? Nobody tells you if you own a penny stock that you should diversify in other penny stocks because that's the smart thing to do. And, it just kind of dawned on me, what am I doing here diversifying amongst meme coins? Now, it could be you want to not have too much money in crypto, but as far as the crypto you're holding, you want to be very careful that you're not holding more than you can speculate and manage, because a lot of them, just like we just saw in this last pullback, a lot of them are like trying to hold a portfolio of penny stocks. And if you've ever traded penny stocks, that's not going to end well. Any thoughts on that, Tim? I'm going in a different direction, but we're going to get to Bitcoin here. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, consolidation has been a strategy I've been doing as well. I about a month ago, I had 32 altcoins in my portfolio, and I told my community, hey guys, I'm just going to go ahead and make the switch now. It's not an issue of saying that I think I'm down to 16 or 17 now. It's not saying the ones I ditched were terrible and going to go to zero. It's just, this is too much even for me to be staying on top of all the time. And like I said, I think I have 17. That's still a lot. That's still a lot to track, but I wanted to have some sort of diversity there in my portfolio. And they are 17 coins that I think do have a bright future ahead. But I'm in the same boat. And I think that especially anyone listening, I mean, Josh and I are able to spend probably way more time looking at charts and looking at investments than most of you guys, and even us. Like, we had to sit here and say there's just too many. So it's something that I encourage people that listen to our channel over Investing Bros. I say, listen, don't feel bad about not putting a coin in your portfolio, even if everybody else has it, even if it's a great project. You got to choose what's right for you. And you got to have a plan that you're going to stick to, and have a little bit of adversity, have a couple of coins, but don't overwork yourself. Don't overstress yourself. Keep it simple, and that's going to still be profitable in the long run.
Yeah. So on that note, a coin that I spent a lot of time owning and I know a lot about, the chart is something I've got memorized, but I'm just going to let you chart it today. But that's Polygon Matic. And the reason why I decided to bring it up today is because there's news on the horizon, hit my Coinbase account today. Polygon Matic migration. I don't know if you've been following this. So Polygon Matic is officially changing. You always wondered, why is it called Polygon, but the ticker was Matic? Well, now they're addressing that. It's going to go from Matic to Pol, P-O-L, on the ETH network. And it's going to be done between August 28th and September 10th. And they specifically warn, and I wanted to warn you guys, they say don't send it and don't receive it during this transition. Guys, they don't have control over the dynamics. Like, they're going to refund you if you decide to send your entire Polygon Matic bag on the wrong day from one account to the other. I don't know what would happen, but I wouldn't want to take the risk. So Just be aware that that change is occurring, and be aware that they told their customers not to send or receive it during that window. They did say, though, that if you've got it on Coinbase and it's currently staking, that you don't have to unstake it. The staking can remain the same through the process, and it will continue to stake the entire time. Any thoughts on that, Tim?
No, good update. I got the same update in mind as well. Probably should make a video about that on our channel too, but I think that's a good update for anyone who owns Matic. In that transition, you're going to be good, but that's a very good clarifier there. Don't mess with it for a little bit. Let it sit there. Let it be its own thing. Don't try to be anything fancy with it.
I'm gonna, a little off script. We're gonna get some charts here. Lolo, yep, everything going to ERC20. This was gonna be the season of Bitcoin, the new Bitcoin blockchain and tokens, and that hasn't happened at all. Any thoughts on that? Just as I guess there was a narrative early on that that things were going to shift, but really the truth is more and more is going on to Ethereum.
Shift. Wait, say that again. It's going to shift from what to what?
Well, that there was going to be more building on the Bitcoin blockchain itself. That we were going to get layer 2s and other projects on Bitcoin. Was that BC20? I forget the term.
Yep.
Yeah. And that just didn't happen. And meme coins were going to explode, and that more migration was going to occur there. I agree with what Lolo was saying. All that we've been seeing is that more things have still been developing on Solana and Ethereum.
Yeah. So the first thing I'll say here is people who are trying to think, people that are investing in altcoins, especially newer altcoins with promise of the future, that are disappointed. You're not looking at the right time horizon. You're not even looking at the right season. This isn't alt season. This is Bitcoin season. And even when you're looking at Bitcoin layer 2s and Bitcoin scaling solutions and everything else, this isn't the time that money's going to flow into them. Why? Because people are much more worried right now about, let's just make sure we get out of this economic question mark. Let's get out of this very turmoil election season. Let's just get crypto as a whole back in the right direction. Then we'll worry about all the frills. And historically, what you see happen is Bitcoin is the leading cryptocurrency. It's in a different world. It's a commodity, but it's still a cryptocurrency. People are going to pump their bags in Bitcoin first, and then there will become a time, I think this is going to be closer to, or if not Bitcoin's over 100K, that all of a sudden you will start to slowly see people take some profits away from Bitcoin and get a little more risky with it into the other alts. Then you'll see an alt season start. The Bitcoin dominance will crash. Altcoins will explode. Bitcoin won't have a major crash, but will temporarily pull back, and you'll watch altcoins go parabolic. But that season hasn't come yet. It really probably won't come until December or January. So to judge altcoins and say they're disappointing right now, I need to give up, walk away, and never come back, I'm not saying get out of them. Maybe you want to go into something more dependable like Bitcoin. But there will be a season of time, if you do completely abandon the altcoin space, you're going to look back and say, if I had just held on for a couple more months, if I had just been a little more patient, I would have a massive payday. And that's why the people that are patient are going to get paid. They're going to get those gains. The people that try to jump from ship to ship to ship to ship, that strategy often has you selling all of the bottoms and buying all of the tops. It's not successful. Sometimes you just got to know when to wait and camp out and wait for the actual alt season to come. That's a couple of months away.
Yeah, and I'm going to add one more thought that I wanted to share with everybody regarding just my personal strategy of holding less coins. Is I was thinking back on I believe that, just like Tim said, that we are moving towards an alt season. I believe it's going to be in full force. I believe that most everything will be 100% higher. Not everything, but a lot of coins are going to be 100% higher, 100% higher from here by the end of this year. And yes, the market can go down and Bitcoin and alts can go up because they've been waiting on monetary easing. They've been waiting for rate cuts, and we're finally getting them. So they're rate sensitive, and they can absolutely go up when the rest of the market is pulling back. And so they do not have to run in connection with each other. A lot of the money that's been going into Nvidia and big tech can roll over into more speculative plays. And so I see that coming down the horizon. But another reason why I want to consolidate a smaller portfolio is because they're not all going to pop off at the same time. So you're going to see one do really, really well and then cool off, and then another one's going to do really well. They don't all go up at the exact same time. And so what happens is you see one going up, and then you're and you're just trying to decide, well, I'll sell the rest of these when they pop like this one, and you have a hard time figuring out how to get in and out of them. It would almost be better if you're in a really hot project to get out of it, and if another project you think has legs to run still, you can possibly roll some money into it. That's not for you. That's for me. That's what I'm doing with my money. Just a real quick commentary. Tim is a guest on this show from Investing Bros. You can go over to his channel and subscribe. Thank goodness it's there, and he's providing great guidance. Tim, on the point of guidance, so go over there and subscribe, guys. Let's give him a boost after this feeling of almost being wiped off of YouTube. Let's go over there and treat him good today and give him an extra subscribe. And on that note, Tim, I need you to earn it. I want you to go into the Bitcoin chart. It's in free fall. It's looking ugly. This is why people showed up today. Let's get some thoughts on that. I'm going over to your chart now.
There we go. All right. So what people need to know, I'm not going to pretend that I called this perfectly. I did tell my community that it would be interesting here on 61,600. Let me just put a line here, even though it didn't happen. There was a small bounce right there, so for a couple of hours, it looked like we could have had a nice little bounce. But the next box, if that was lost, and this is a fat range, I want to make sure I'm addressing that. People might say, Tim, that's a fat range right there. How do you know specifically? It's very hard to know where in this box the next significant support level is, but I'm going to show you some of the things that I'm watching that tell me that this box is very important in price action. The top of this box started up towards 60,400. The bottom of it is coming down towards 58,000. I'm going to take a look at a couple different things, both on this chart and liquidity charts, which tell us where people get liquidated in their longs and short positions. But let's start off right here. I want to come out to the daily chart and start this off and tell you guys why I predicted a couple of days ago we would pull back down at least to 61,600. Well, it was because of this red cloud right here on the daily chart. This is the LUXALGO indicators. You've heard Josh talk about them. You've seen him use them. If you watch my channel or watch me when I'm on with Josh, I'm using them all the time. This indicator is phenomenal at giving amazing levels of support and resistance, or in other words, levels to look for buy orders and levels to look for sell orders, right? Well, on the daily chart, I told people, don't get too excited just yet until we break above this red zone, and that's equivalently up here a little higher than 65,000. We wicked to 65K, but we got rejected, communicating that while the bulls had a nice push here from the lows of early August, got a little choked up there, they hadn't necessarily done anything to recapture the trend as a whole, and we got rejected right there. Again, my first thought was we would pull back to 61.6. We have dropped lower. So now the question is, what is giving us this yellow box, this zone between 60,400 and potentially as low as 58 that we could see our next support level in that spot? Well, the first thing on the lower end you'll notice is we have an order block down here from the lows of August 15th. This is giving us just a little bit of support that there will be buy orders in at this zone. But as I start to trickle down the time frames, you're also going to see here, I think the best one to look at is going to be the 8-hour chart. Let me turn this on. There we go. We have right now, we've been wicking and bouncing for the last couple of minutes on the 8-hour blue smart trail. Remember, the daily chart was red for bearish resistance. When you break above this line, and the best way to think about this is the relative moving average, all of a sudden you're looking at the blue ones as major levels of support. That cloud was up high, but it also comes in down here towards 59,600. That's pretty much exactly where we wicked within the last couple of minutes. But as I'm looking lower, we're under a sell order, and we're dangerously close to two other major levels I'm watching around 59,200. Well, what are those things that I'm looking at confluence? The first one is the take profit on this sell order from LUXALGO. The second thing I'm looking at is this descending level of a channel that we were just in for the last couple of weeks that played out very beautifully. If you had traded this signal at the breakout, it made its call perfectly with a prediction that we would make it up here in wick at 64,985. We went to 65,000 almost to the penny and then came back down. Well, that was the case that the bulls rally was done, and now it's time to cool off. I'm looking at that confluence, that retesting of former resistance, turning it back in support as very much being a play along with that take profit signal. Before I move on to the liquidation chart, the last thing I want to kind of bring to people's attention, let's turn off LUXALGO. The other thing I'm going to be looking for before I can get bullish on Bitcoin long term.
Make sure, Tim, that this is simple. Like,
you know me, Josh. I'm doing the best I can, but I understand.
All right, I like it. I like what you're doing, but I don't want people to be left behind, because to some people, this is witchcraft, man. These are lines on the paper. You're just shaking bones in the pot at this point, bro.
Yes, yeah. It effectively, what I've talked about at this point is just levels of support and resistance based off of moving averages. What I'm looking for to get bullish again, Josh, and everybody else, the LUXALGO oscillator on the 4-hour chart is going to be my trigger to get back into long positions. And what I'm going to be watching, we're very low right now on the oscillator. Anyone who has studied RSI or MACD, you understand the concept of what oscillators communicate in terms of strength of movements. The higher it is, the stronger the bulls have been. The lower it is, the stronger the bears have been. But when you reach these excessive levels of either extremely high or extremely low, you're looking for a reversal pattern to come into play. Well, right now on the 4-hour chart, we have hit low levels on the LUXALGO oscillator we have not seen since back on August 5th. Of course, that was a major bottom, and we're nowhere close to those price levels, yet we're at the same strength on the oscillator. We have a green reversal dot coming in here, but what I need to see is this oscillator start to make another power move to the upside, similar to August 5th with that green dot. I also want to see the money flow switch from going to the downside and being negative back into flowing in the positive direction. When I have all three of these, a bullish reversal, a bullish momentum on the oscillator, and positive money flow, that will be my trigger that officially that little bottom dip is over and it's time to move back to the upside. And at the moment, we're not seeing that. We're seeing some of the beginning signs, but we're not seeing that reversal call actually be official.
I loved that. I thought it was a really good overview, specifically the oscillator. I hope that didn't throw people too much. I want to, first of all, I want to thank a couple of folks that gave a super chat. Lynette Pisas, forgive me, I don't think I'm going to get it. Pisces, super chat. Hey, Josh and Tim, can you please
Pisces?
Go over
Pisces? Is that Pisces?
Pisces could be. I'm so sorry. Much respect. Yes, I will go over ETH for you. Let me quickly touch. I'm going to go into some chart. First of all, thank you, Tim. Very good overview on Bitcoin. I'm going to show my chart, and then I'm going to go over one of the other ones, and then I'm going to come back and let you do ETH because I think you're doing a great job. So let's talk. I was asked about Uniswap from one of the gentlemen. First of all, guys, appreciate the likes. Hit that like midway through. It pushes the video out. It helps us. And if you're enjoying the show and you're liking the content, then show that love by hitting that like for me. All right. So I was asked about Uniswap, and I'm going to make this point. First of all, don't like the chart. You can, and is it worse than a bunch of other charts? No. I mean, it's pretty much come back to its lows. I imagine it will go back up. I want to just do this, what we were talking about a moment ago. I've held Uniswap before, but you guys know, if you guys could list off a crypto that I've been talking a lot about and that I like a lot, okay, what is it? Solana. All right, let's take a minute, guys. Let's go between these charts. Okay, down, back, winter lows, up in the air. These are the winter lows, guys. We're way up here. Now, I can't tell you what to buy. I'm not telling you Uniswap won't make any money. I'm just telling you that, there have been some new exchanges. There's been some new exciting exchanges with BlackRock, behind them. And so I don't know if Uniswap, how well they're going to do. It's an extremely competitive space. But, you want to consider, if you've been a diehard Uniswap guy, you want to go around and look at these charts and see, okay, what's performing better? Because I can tell you that the minute Bitcoin breaks out, this is going higher, right? It's not going lower. And then I wanted to also cover Toncoin. Why? Because today in this sea of red, Toncoin is the only coin up. Again, what does that tell you? It tells you when markets begin to turn around, which they will. This one looks much better than Uniswap. And forgive me, man, if I'm dogging on your project. But you know, I'm not saying it's not going to go anywhere. I'm just telling you, you want to be in vehicles that are moving faster. Toncoin has showed great relative strength. We've come down, we're bouncing on support, and it's looking pretty good at the moment. And so I like Toncoin. I mentioned it in the last couple Technical Tuesdays with Tim that I've done, that this is one that I like. And it's yet again, on a down day, it's green. It means that on an all green day, it can even fly even higher. I also want to acknowledge real quick, Lolo. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate the TA and heartfelt for your guidance. Take care. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Appreciate you a great deal, my friend. Tim, take us into ETH. Let's get caught up there on what you're seeing in the charts. Oh man, I don't like that wick.
No. And I was going to say to everybody, like, I didn't get into it necessarily, but I think we'll save it for another time. 58K. Just very quick for people. 58K. Watch it. Watch 58K. It's a very interesting level on Bitcoin. Let's take a look at ETH. Something that we don't want to talk about here. Now, I thought we would hold up this morning, and we had a nice bounce at 25.68. Didn't hold up, guys. And guess what you have when you have this ascending level of resistance, ascending level of support in a parallel fashion? This is what we call a rising channel. Well, these can be bearish breakouts. And let's just start with the potential of how bad this move could get.
All right, man. Teach him, Tim. Teach him. Because you're dead on. You're dead on, brother.
Yeah, we're talking about a move back towards 2,300, everybody. This would be the breakout expectation back to the same lows we had on August 7th. That would be what we're looking at right now as a potential breakout. Let's take a look at some of our LUXALGO indicators, see what they are saying right now. 1 hour chart, we are currently hitting some take profit levels, but I'm not trusting that strength at the moment. The 4 hour chart, the 4 hour chart is indicating we're a little closer towards a take profit, but you guys can see that big order block right there. When I say order block, if you don't know what an order block is an indicator that LUXALGO has that communicates levels where this is a major buying or selling event. It even communicates who the major buyers or sellers are going to be. Is it going to be more buyers, more sellers? In this case, this long red bar communicates what we call bearish exhaustion. The green bar communicates bullish exhaustion. Ultimately, when the red bar is longer than the green, it should be perceived as a better level of support. When the green line is longer than the red, it should be seen as a greater level of resistance. So in this case, this does look like added support coming in here where as low as 2,300, just like we just called right there. Let's go out even longer to the daily chart. Yeah, so a lot of things here. Again, I hadn't checked the TA on this before coming on the show because, again, I thought support might have held. But it's definitely showing me here, Josh, that Ethereum is closer to the bottom than it is having a major crash. But there's definitely going to be something to watch here between current levels of 2,400 and 23. Let's call it 2320, give or take. 2320 could be very interesting. I didn't show you this on Bitcoin. Let me show you on Ethereum and see if this is going to communicate anything specifically. And this is going to be our liquidity charts, meaning levels where exchanges tell other traders if this level is hit, there'll be X amount of millions or billions of dollars lost in those trading opportunities. Let's refresh here. Oh, it refreshed and went back to Bitcoin. Excuse me, guys. Didn't think this was going to take this long to load, but CoinGlass giving me a little bit
Tim,
of problems.
Lloyd Banks was asking, what is the name of that LUXALGO indicator?
Yeah, so which one? Do you the order block?
I'm not sure if it was the matrix oscillator or the signals and overlays or price action concepts, but those are the three names of the ones he's using. Why don't you just give him a 10-second explanation as to what Lux is?
So LUXALGO is the #1 paid indicator on TradingView. It ultimately just encapsulates a lot of basic technical analysis, but makes it very easy and obvious for people to identify, especially when you're newer to cryptocurrency. Newer to trading. The order blocks I'm discussing, they're under a thing called price action concepts. The take profits, the stop losses, the smart trails, those are under something called signals and overlays. And then the oscillator, the superpower of what I think LUXALGO does, this is called the LUXALGO Oscillator Matrix. You get all three of those when you purchase LUXALGO Premium. If you buy just the essentials, you'll only get the order blocks with the price action concepts. So hopefully that answers the question you're looking for there.
Which, to be honest with you, even if you start off with the essentials and you start to learn those, you can always add, because the essentials will take you a little bit of time to become familiar with. So you don't have to try to get the whole thing day one.
Exactly. All right. Finally, it looks like we're getting some loading on going here. Weekly chart, we have gotten rid of, Josh, all the liquidity. There's no liquidity beneath us weekly, but we got to keep kind of scanning out. Let's go 1 month and see if there's anything sticking out here. And I apologize, guys. I don't know why CoinGlass is taking so long to load, but this is important information that can communicate interesting levels. 1 month, we have nothing. We got to go. I'm sorry. We got to go farther out. We got to go 3 months. We're gonna.
I mean, really, there's nothing down there, Tim. Wouldn't you say?
Nothing down in the last month, but I mean, I'm interested to see if potentially the 3 month gives me something. There's nothing on the 3 month. Okay, well, so that's another positive sign, guys, that you're not necessarily going to see excessive manipulation from traders pushing the price to lower levels. And unless there's just some major bearish news that has come out, this is what I would almost call a great setup for a bear trap. There's a lot of reasons to be confident if you're a bear right now. A lot of people who are bearish on Ethereum and on Bitcoin and on these prices, they're probably rejoicing. They're probably sitting here saying, I told you guys, we're going down to new lows. The bull market's over, blah, 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 blah. When in reality, a lot of times these moves, they come right before major gains, but it's like a spring cleaning. A last big move to get rid of all of the weak-handed investors. First, you start with the newer bullish investors and you discourage them and you liquidate their trading levels, and then they decide, oh, I can't trade whatsoever, I'm getting out. Well, you take them out, and now you have all the bearish people rejoicing and singing their songs and getting so excited, and then you flip the script on them and you don't take your time. You quickly shoot back up to high levels, get rid of all of their liquidity, in which case you guys can see, if I come back up here, a lot of liquidity up still above us on these longer time frames, even back up towards almost 3,000. This is a classic move to swing low, remove the bulls to create a fresh rally, and then cause a what we call short squeeze or bear trap, and then push the price quickly up before any of those bears can take profit. And all of a sudden, you eliminated the bulls, you eliminated the bears, and only the smart money is left with the gains. Classic move that new traders fall for and get hurt. The hodlers are the ones that just sit back, they drink their sweet tea, they let the volatility go up and down, knowing that the end direction is up and to the right. They're the ones that end up benefiting, the whales, the experienced traders, them as well. I want to monitor this, but this to me has a feeling of a bear trap, Josh. Unless something broke in the news, like Vitalik Buterin has decided to abandon Ethereum, he says it's a failed project, or something to that degree. This has a manipulative type of feel to it.
So there's no great reason. I was doing a little research as to why Bitcoin is falling. People were accusing macroeconomics. Concern the Fed isn't going to be as dovish as he had said he would at Jackson Hole. And then the third reason was decreased activity on the Bitcoin network. None of those none of those make sense to me. I don't think anybody knows why it's falling right now. It's not clear. It might come out over the next 24 hours. But I will say this. I'm going to take you guys into my Bitcoin chart real quick just to make a simple point. The last analysis that I gave you guys was pretty important, right? It's that Bitcoin tends to move sideways for 200 days. And I think we're at like 184. I don't know the exact number. 200 days would put us, around here. That would be like mid-October. And the last time I covered it, I said that we were developing, we're still looking like we're developing an inverse head and shoulders, bullish, and that we would, even if we went up, we're still probably going to hit a wall, and we're still going to spend some time moving sideways. That's kind of my view. I would say Bitcoin is not going to remain terribly exciting for a long time. We're going to finish out this full window of consolidation before going back, and I would guess that we would end up eventually bouncing off of this 60,600 or something in this range one last time before ultimately making that power move. And so, we're down a little bit today. we could continue back up actually before going down some more. Ultimately, we've got to spend the remainder of this 25-day window before we get out of the typical consolidation period. Any thoughts on that, Tim? I mean, really, it's not different than what you had said for a long time, Tim. You had said about after we got through the halving event that, expect a long consolidation period. You said that, I think, on one of our very first shows. And here we are 3-4 months later, 4 months later, 4 or 5 months later, and that's where we're at. We're roughly at 60K, which is where we were, I think, that day we talked.
Yeah, and until something changes, Josh, we can get bullish, we can get bearish. I hope people understand when we talk about being bullish, I'm going to speak for myself. I'm not going to speak for Josh. When I talk about being bullish, I am bullish. I'm very bullish. But my time horizon is not looking at a 5-minute chart. My time horizon isn't looking at a 1-minute chart. I'm looking at the daily and the weekly, and I stay remaining long-term bullish, but that doesn't mean we're ready to pop just yet. And we have these little emotional roller coasters where for a period of 3 days, we're rallying and everyone gets so excited, and then we start to fall and everyone gets so discouraged. But when you zoom out and you take a look at the charts, we're just consolidating. We're just moving within tight ranges. And this is one of those things, if you cannot embrace volatility, if you can't take the heat, you got to get out of the kitchen, because this is what you sign up for when you jump into the crypto world. It's amazing when the prices are going up and the gains are flowing, and it's terrible when everything's going down, but it's a part of the game. And when you look at those longer indicators and you look at the longer moving averages and everything else, we are setting macro higher highs and higher lows. And it's something, if you can learn to just pause your emotions, zoom out, and think about the future and be willing to ride the volatility, those are the people that will make money. Those who think they're so smart and they need to swing trade every major move, those are the people that will lose out. And unfortunately, a lot of people are tempted to do that. A lot of people are tempted to say, I know exactly what this news means, or I know exactly what this is right here. And they get a little emotional with it, and they end up losing everything. Right now, Bitcoin needs to see some, and crypto as a whole needs to see some positivity come back. I think one of the biggest catalysts that are coming, but we're still a little bit away from, is the next rate cut, or the rate cut in general, not the next one, the first one in many years. Guess what we have to kind of ride through to get there, though? Thursday, we'll see GDP numbers. Are they going to be favorable? Are they going to be poor? Are they going to scare us into thinking our economy is going into recession? That'll have major impact. Then on Friday, the PCE numbers come out. Well, even though everyone loves paying attention to the juicy, sexy inflation numbers, you know what Jerome Powell and the Fed look at to encourage their decisions about how to impact inflation? The PCE numbers. So two of the most important pieces of data to decide what will affect one of the most bullish catalysts for crypto don't come out for a couple of days. So until we hear that, people should not be celebrating or freaking out. And then after that, it's a situation of saying, are we certain that we're going to see a confident Jerome Powell cut rates by 25 basis points, not 50. 50 basis points would instill fear and chaos and could crash the markets. 25 encourage stability, a calm spirit, and a time to flip and repeat things that we saw in 2016 and 2020 that saw major bullish rallies in crypto and the stock market. But all of this, you have to remain patient for the details to come out. Chasing pumps or chasing losses just causes you to be emotional and make bad decisions.
All right. Well, I've got to address Chief here. First of all, we love you, Chief. No hate. No, not going to beat you up or anything. He says technical analysis means nothing where crypto is concerned. Well, you're speaking to two crypto technical stock analysts. I mean, our passion is technical analysis, and there isn't any stock or crypto that cannot be analyzed from the perspective of the mathematics and the moving averages that are used in the indicators that we use. I'm going to make a point on that. And so that's my opinion against Chief's. Okay. Chief may not have, he's entitled to his opinion. I'm going to take you into a chart and share with you what I did this weekend. So on Saturday, I had my son is visiting from San Diego. And so we had all the kids over, husbands and they're my daughters. And so the three guys and myself, I said, hey, let's make this I was trading. And I was like, oh, guys, I just made another $500. And I did that like 3 times. Oh, I just made another 500 bucks. And I was swing trading Floki and a couple others. And they were like, well, hey, why don't you take my laptop and why don't you trade my account for me? And I was like, well, you know what, guys? I said, we got to lay a foundation. I'd love to teach you guys how to trade, but we have to lay a proper foundation. And I said, I just wouldn't feel comfortable leading you into this experience without you guys knowing some things. So we all got laptops. We all got in a row. My wife, my daughters kind of gave us the grace to do what we were doing. And I started going through indicators. I started going through things. Now, I'm going to share with you what I did. I don't talk a lot about it on my page because it's not for everybody. But I was 20x leverage trading altcoins. Okay, so specifically, I had a trade on Floki. I think the position was valued at around $130,000. And I'm going to show it to you. And I did this live. And so I'm going to just share with you the logic. Obviously, you guys know I had the bullish stance of this descending channel, right? We already had these touches right here. You know, we've already had this channel pretty well defined already. Then I used the price action concepts from LUXALGO. And what this does is it shows you that this is an area of support. And I knew that already just by looking at the fact that the majority of price action had occurred there. We had come down. We were sitting on this support. And I was walking them through candle by candle what everything meant. And I entered into that large position right here. And you can see that when this red EMA, which is the 5, crossed over the 21, and we were above an area of structure and support confirmed by the price action concepts by LUXALGO, when all of this aligned, you can see we skyrocketed up. Now, I actually took profit right here. Could have made a couple $1,000s more right there. Now, what point am I making? First of all, I don't want to come off like I'm bragging. It's not my intention. It was a teaching opportunity for my kids. They're like, man, I was making in 5 minutes what they would make in a couple days at their jobs. And I said, well, I want to teach you guys. I said, but you'll get yourselves wrecked. I said, you got to promise me you will never, ever do this without me. I said, let's spend a couple weekends going through this. But, so Chief made the comment, and we're not picking on Chief. Much love and respect for Chief. I appreciate you being here. Technical analysis doesn't do anything. Well, technical analysis is the only reason I had the confidence to enter that position. 5 crossing the 21 on structure in a bullish descending channel. It's all technical analysis. I would be lost to know whether it was going up or down. Let me go back to the chart real quick and make one more point on that. If you're sitting, let me just take all this off real quick. So if we've recently come off this high and then we've made a lower high and I'm not using any technical analysis, I mean, my initial thought was we're in decline. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess, Tim, any thought? I mean, I don't need you to defend technical analysis, but, any thought on the subject?
Here's what I'll tell people. If anyone, the people that say the technical analysis doesn't work, it's because what they want is a crystal ball that tells the future perfectly and never has any blunders or any mistakes or any interpretation whatsoever. The charts, this is what they tell you. They tell you the significant levels of buying, the significant levels of selling. It tells you the strength of movements. And using that information, it is up to you to instill whatever the best probabilities could be. So proper charting is extremely beneficial. But anyone who says it doesn't work, it's because they want perfection. Well, if you don't want to use technical analysis, you tell me what out there is perfect at calling every single bottom and every single top. And I'll wait for that reply because you're not going to say anything. If the markets were that easy to read, a lot of people would be a lot more wealthy than they are. It is a trading game. It is a risk game. That's why we are always talking about proper risk to reward ratios. If you come into this thinking, I'm going to drop $1,000 and I'm going to have no worry whatsoever, and $1,000 is going to turn into $10,000 in a couple of months with limited strategy, with limited research, with limited knowledge, you are going to have some problems in your investments. I see someone said, Tim, multitasking. By the way, guys, I was just buying crypto, what I was doing on my phone while Josh was speaking. But ultimately, there's no better strategy, there's no better tactic than technical analysis at helping you sort out the highest probability moves, but also telling you where to put your stop losses, where to put your take profit levels. News does not tell you that. News just says good or bad, but it also can hide manipulation because some news is a misdirection while other news is actual confirmation. The charts don't try to trick you. The charts don't lie to you the way news or fundamentals can do so. The charts take emotion completely out of it. They tell you the significant levels of buying and selling and the probabilities of what that would look like. And then it's up to you to use your discernment, your ability to study history and ultimately make an educated guess about every bottom and every top.
All right. Well, I want to wrap up today's show, but before I do, I want to comment on Hui Trilla. Maybe I'm saying that right. Maybe I'm not. I apologize. I appreciate your comments. I like what you often comment. A crash would be if it drops below 56K. I agree. I think, well, first of all, I think that 58 is a very interesting area for us to watch. And I would begin to be more concerned if we did get below 55. That would be a concern to me. And it would surprise me a little bit right now if it's possible. But right now, if we stay in that 58K range, it means that we're actually still possibly moving up to 70K right now. And it means that the alts are just simply pulling back a little bit and are still in the process of building. I can tell you that as we get closer to the rate cut, and I did this in a video the other day, Tim, I thought it was a very interesting study of the charts, that most of the time the market rallies the day that the Fed gives a cut, and it can go up anywhere from 5 to 10% in the first 20 to 30 days that the Fed gives a cut. And my commentary, now September is normally a pretty ugly, choppy, volatile month. And so a lot of people having come out of August are thinking that, that we're going to have a pullback in September. We could pull back before the Fed if we got that cut. If it was 25 basis points and data was pretty good, I would be leaning towards the fact that we could have another 20 days or 30 days of a strong move. But it's a little bit too far out to give that opinion. I'm going to cover one more stock, one more crypto for you guys. Tomorrow, I might just devote my video to Nvidia, Tesla. I like Tesla right now. Some of the options I've been in, Nvidia, I'm up huge on my options. I got January 17th, 2025. And so the volatility that we've seen has a little phased them. They've gone up, maybe 5 to 8%, up or down 5 or 8%. I'm looking for a much bigger move. If this thing breaks up to $146, $150, $175, then those should double big time for me. But I've been in some other options, Tesla and Meta and a couple other small ones that have just been bleeding off. The risk position I took has just been bleeding off. I decided to go in slowly, and I thought I'm going to buy over the course of the next couple days and build a position in those. At the moment, those aren't up, I'm just like you. I'm watching the market. I showed you my analysis of the SPY. It's all on Nvidia's shoulders. Data, the PCE will be important. Really, at this point, our portfolios are hanging on the CEO of Nvidia. And you know what? If let's say they're not, I'll just make a couple points about Nvidia's earnings. Even if they come out as a beat, it's not enough. We need a gangbuster beat. We need an absolute shock and awe campaign to wake everybody up and tell them that AI is just getting going. If we get that, everything will explode. Okay. The Meta chart. Let me see. Let me throw Netflix up. That's the one I wanted to show you guys. And I know we're going long, Tim. I'll wrap this up. Give me a second.
You're good.
All right. So Meta, right? You got this. Look at this. We had a little bit of a double top back here. 2 ugly wick green candles, right on the edge of the 5 EMA rolling over. We've got the 5 EMA rolling over. 2 ugly double top green candles. So this is just waiting on Nvidia tomorrow. And if Nvidia comes out good, it's going to pull up big tech with it, and we get above 704. We've got to close some candles up here to believe that we're going higher. If we don't, then we're probably coming back to 645. And the reason why I wanted to show you Netflix is because it performed really, really well today. And I just wanted you to have some perspective that there's bearish bullishness everywhere. I mean, yeah, Netflix performed awesome today. And if Nvidia pulls these markets up, then it could be going on to $750. On the other hand, the chart is clearly setting up to take a turn down. And so just be careful with your position size. If you heard my crypto commentary today, and in one of my next crypto videos, I'm going to give you my top crypto picks. I haven't done that in a while. I did it not too long ago, and all of those crushed it. I want to give that to you again. I want to give you it's going to crush it experience again. I've given some picks in the Discord, the Stocks with Josh Discord. There's a link for that. There's a link in the description for Lux if you guys want to join us. We're always going to be using Lux. Both Tim and I use Lux. I day traded on the weekend and taught my son-in-law's Lux. So because it works, it's a simple way if you don't have a lot of charting experience to find support and resistance. I do have a lot of charting experience, but it sure is easy to see. And I'll tell you where it helps me that I'm not good at. Okay. I'm really good at finding global support and resistance, daily, weekly, monthly. I'm really good, I think, at getting the big picture direction of a stock. But when you get down into the hour chart and the 30-minute chart, how those support and resistance levels, how reliable are they, is a little bit less confident. I'm a little bit less confident, so I don't tend to trade those. I use candles instead of, I do use support and resistance, but I probably heavily rely on trading the candles when I'm in the smaller time frames. But Lux gives me a good sense of support and resistance in those smaller time frames, and that just helps me. So that's why I use it. I think that wraps it up. I just wanted you guys to be aware in all of your portfolio and in your crypto, be careful, okay? Because we got a lot happening with Nvidia. If Nvidia crushes it, you can wait and see if they crush it. Then we should have a good rally into the end of the week. Then we'd be watching profit taking on Friday when the PCE came out. That's how it should all play out. Appreciate you being here, Tim. I'm glad that things are smooth sailing at Investing Bros. Guys, Absolutely. If you enjoyed Tim's commentary today, then go over to his page and hit the subscribe. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you guys for joining us. Have a blessed day. Talk to you later. Thanks, Tim.